finally from the hell-born babe. Hate this life every way. Me and my wife are working, no play. Now I'm out on the boat every day, having fun, no worries about pay. Easy work while the fishermen play, watching time pass as we gently sway. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Fishing's great, I got beer on nights. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Life is great, love this island life. Summers are warm, winters are two. Tourists coming down instead of turning blue. Hotels are packed, the tiki bars are cool. All ready to party and dance by the pool. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Fishing's great, I got beer on nights. I'm on the sunny side of paradise. Life is great, love this island life. Go down to Key West. Blue waters here are truly the best. For a killer tent and a local cold beer, put your ass in the car and get down here. We're on the sunny side of paradise. The fishing's great, we got beer on nights. On the sunny side of paradise. Life is great, we love this island life. We're on the sunny side of paradise. Fishing's great, we got beer on nights. Sunny side of paradise. Here on the sunny side of paradise. Here on the sunny side of paradise. Here on the sunny side of paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Dave Roush Show. Tonight we have a special treat for you. Joining us in the studio is a man whose musical journey has taken him from humble beginnings to the heights of the musical industry. He's a gifted singer and talented songwriter and the former band leader for the legendary Glen Campbell for an incredible 15 years. With a career that spans decades, countless hit songs, and unforgettable performances, he's here to share his stories and his insights. Get ready to be inspired and entertained as we dive into the deep life and career of the one and only Jeff Dayton. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as we welcome Jeff to the Dave Roush Show. Welcome, Jeff.
Hey there, Dave. Good to be with you.
Yeah, it's nice. Where are you coming to us from?
I'm home in Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville. Nice. I usually am in Ajijic, Mexico, but today we drove down to Puerto Vallarta, and we're in a beautiful hacienda on the cliffs looking over the water. It's amazing.
Oh, man. That sounds just wonderful.
Yeah. How are you doing there? You doing good?
You betcha. Things are going just right, and, we continue popping out songs here in Music City. I've got a couple of new ones already. Record. I keep writing, and I get like 40 or 50 songs, and then I put a bunch of them out, and then I wait, and it's only been a year since. Well, let's see. The new record came out in March or April, end of March, and so I haven't given it very long. I'm right back at it again.
Nice. Well, let's start the show off. Why don't you take us to your early career when you started, and give us some of your musical influences and just kind of how you got started in the music business.
Oh, you bet. I grew up in Minnesota, and my parents, luckily my mom was a real music fan, and so I listened to everything from my dad had played guitar in a Dixieland group, and so he had the, Count Basie and Dixieland rhythm kind of thing that he loved, and my mom had all the, just the music of the day, and I was all into it, even as a kid, and the Beatles got to me big time, and later on it was all the, the great rock of, Cream and Zeppelin and Jeff Beck and Derek and the Dominoes and, and Moody Blues and Jethro Tull and, on and on. It was a blast. And all the time kind of keeping the other ear tuned to California, where we were digging on Ron Sant, Jackson Brown, and all the good stuff coming out of there. So that's all kind of filtered through my life all this time. But yeah, that was kind of where I came from, that whole bag. Everything from the Kingston Trio to, I don't know, Roger Miller.
Well, that's a pretty big span, I think rock and roll has influenced all of us at one time or another.
Yeah.
I like that,
Absolutely.
I wasn't a rock and roll band, and now I'm starting it's a Southern country rock band, and that's kind of a cool gig going on.
Oh, that's great. There's nothing like the thrill of having a bunch of guys playing a tune together and once in a while get it right.
Exactly. That's all we hope for, right? It's just that,
that's it.
That just the perfect sound, goosebumps and all that.
Yeah.
I first met you at a meeting of the minds at Parrot Head in Key West, if I remember right.
Okay. Yeah, that's been a few years.
Yeah, Harry and I were doing the Radio A1A Parrot Head thing there, and you were one of the guests, and I was like in awe because it's you. And
oh, man.
I know we're all humble.
Well, it doesn't do any good to have a big head here in Nashville because somebody's going to knock it off right in about 10 steps,
Oh, my God.
I go to the grocery store. Yeah, you can't turn left and not hit three great guitar players.
I'm going to get to Nashville. I think next year we're going to go to the CMA Fest. I'm hoping.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun here. I mean, there's always something going on. And if I remember right, that gig was over on a little marina side of the hotel there, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ocean's Edge.
Oh, yeah. Are you guys going to be down there again this fall?
I don't think so. I'm not for sure. Harry might be down there, but I'm definitely not going to go to the Keys again. I don't think. I'm stuck down here way south of Mexico, and I'm loving life.
Well, sure. You've got a great spot. I think that whole area, that Pacific coast of Mexico, is just beautiful.
Yeah,
I went there as a young, I had a girlfriend back in the early 80s, and we went to Puerto Vallarta and hit all the spots like Chino's Burrito and Chico's Paradise and Miss Moya Beach and, did all the fun stuff in there. That, I guess touristy for the time, but it's not like it is today, I'm sure.
There was a lot of people just coming down the coast road. It was amazing just looking out. I haven't been here before this way, driving through here, and it was a pretty good sight, man. There's lots of people.
Yeah, my dad wanted to move away to Mexico. He lived in the dry lands, but he was always a beach guy, and he talked about being, I think it's, I forget where it is. It's south of Tijuana anyway, along the coast there somewhere.
Right. So, Jeff, tell us how did you get started in the music business? I mean, was there a pit?
Well, I just had blind desire. I mean, I didn't have a clue. Once I got a guitar, just barely turning 10 years old, and grab your friends and see if you can play songs together, and you go from that to some better songs, better band, guys who were playing more, and So I think the first money we made, I was in about 8th or 9th grade, and we got $12.
$12 for the whole band?
Yeah, for a 3-piece.
Nice.
And, that's when our moms were still driving. And then later on, I got to college. I didn't make much money in high school. I mean, I was just busy, doing sports, and I was a football player, a swimmer, and that kind of thing. Played some hockey, but once I graduated from high school, my stepdad actually bought me a decent acoustic guitar. It was an old Yamaha FG 300, and it would look kind of like a Gibson Dove. It had that inlaid pickguard, and I started playing little coffee house gigs, and pretty soon I was in a band out in farm country down southwestern Minnesota, and we'd get $25 on a Friday night, and I'd bring my steel guitar, which I got into pretty quick, and an old amplifier, and I don't even remember what I had for an electric guitar back then. It might have been a Gibson SG. No, I don't think it was even that. So how would I know? Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
So how many guitars do you have now?
Yeah. What kind? Well, I'm big on Taylors. I've got an Epiphone jazz guitar. It was a recent gift from my friend Mark Bennington, one of the Epiphone emperors. And, it looks like a big classic jazz thing, jazz box arched up. And, I've got some Tellys and Strats, and, I've got a Paul Reed Smith, and just a various assortment. I've got some baritone guitars. I'm actually looking for a 4-string Dixieland banjo right now.
Nice.
Because I've got a new song that I'm going to do a Dixieland group on, and I want to play the rhythm part.
I love it when I talk to the guitar players, and they've got I have 3, but I'm not a guitar player. I'm a singer. But they have such a vast number of guitars, and
yeah.
It's just amazing to see what you have from when you started, that one acoustic guitar. Do you still have it?
My first guitar, no. I don't even remember what happened to it. I think it got flooded in my mom's basement or something. It was about a $24 is what it cost.
Nice.
And remember that it was from the neighborhood music store. But I wish I'd kept all those guitars, because if I'd had that, well, first of all, I'd have a couple of rooms in my house stacked to the ceiling with guitars. But the value of those old guitars, I had early days, I had, everything was what today we call it vintage, but it was just the stuff hanging in the music store back then.
Right.
And I let go of some great Martins over the years, and some great Fenders and great Gibsons. I'm embarrassingly shy on Gibsons. I've been thinking about picking up an SG.
Those are nice guitars.
Just 'cause they're... What was that?
I said those are nice guitars. The SG. I have a Ibanez GX50, which is an SG copy, kind of.
Nice, yeah. It's a nice light guitar, and it's great for rock and roll, and it's got great tones.
Yeah, they sound good. So, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if I could buy another guitar, it'd be a short list of about 6 or 8 guitars. I'd get myself a nice Martin. Again, I'd pick up a Gretsch with a twang bar on it. What else is on the wish list? Some stuff like that. Specialty things, that fit a niche for me, because I've got a lap steel, and I've got a nice Hammond organ with a beautiful old Leslie, and some of the things that I use to create tracks for folks. I do internet tracking, but there's a couple things I don't have, and it would be cool to have.
Yeah, the internet's a great thing. I mean, back when you and I were, just young, there was no such thing as the internet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I remember when we didn't have cell phones, and we had to stop at a payphone to call if we were short on something.
Yeah. A portable phone was as long as the cord it was plugged into the wall was.
Yeah.
Remember having the cord, a 50-foot cord, and you could go in anywhere you want to in a house?
Oh, yeah. It had that long coil cord.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Especially if your phone was attached to the wall, then you could, pull on it. It was one of those top of the desk things. The phone would come off the desk, too, so it's very funny.
For you younger generation, a phone we had back then is a square little object, and it had buttons on it that you pushed and a cord that plugged into the wall. It was really handy. We thought it was great.
It was cool. It was so cool.
Yeah, it sucked. The party line. I remember our first phone, we had a party line. You had to wait till somebody was off the other line to make a call.
Mm-hmm. I remember that at our old cottage up on a lake in Minnesota, our family cottage. When they put a phone in there, we had one of those wall phones, it was like, and it had to take the cup of the earpiece off the hook and you talk into the little mouthpiece on the phone, and we had a special ring for that because we were on a party line too. And then somebody broke in the cabin one winter and stole it.
Stole your phone?
Yep.
You had to put it in the back of a truck. They were pretty big.
Yeah, but the sad thing is that the cabin was really out in the country, and so nobody would have noticed. Right.
So tell me, how did you get started in the music industry? Was there a particular moment that set things in motion for you?
Yeah, there really were a few. I mean, a couple of things that were big influences on me were, seeing the Allman Brothers with Duane live in the summer of '71. So right after the Fillmore albums, the Fillmore East, Fillmore West.
Right.
And seeing Bob Marley in the late '70s with the full band. Seeing Lowell George with Little Feat, back in the '70s. Getting to work with Dizzy Gillespie in the '70s. I mean, those things just were like jet fuel for me.
Right.
And so when I moved to Phoenix in 1979, not long after I was there, and I was just hungry to learn all about what was going on in town, so I made the rounds. But the Arizona Songwriters Association put on an event in early 1981 called a symposium, and they brought in some of the biggest guys in the world from LA and Nashville. And they brought in Jay Graydon and David Foster, who's, well-known producer, and Bill Champlin, the singer from Chicago, but he had a huge history before that. And then Maggie Cavender and Randy Goodman from Nashville. And I went there as a guy who wrote songs once in a while, and I left there as a songwriter. I mean, it was just like a switch got turned on in me. So I really got focused on writing songs and having a band that worked 5 nights a week. I mean, we were playing hotels in Scottsdale back on the top of the wave for Urban Cowboy. And so everybody had boots and Wranglers, and it was just a blast. So I was making a full-time living at playing music and then going to college part-time. I finally got college done, graduated at Arizona State, but
Go Sun
music
Devils.
was always the first thing. What was that now?
Go Sun Devils.
I missed it, Dave. I'm sorry. Cut out a little bit.
Go
I guess we're
Sun
kind of a long way.
Yeah, go
We're a long
Sun
ways
Devils.
away. Yeah.
We are a long ways away.
Yep. But that got me going. And, I was already playing a little bit in Minnesota. Our band leader in one band had just played with Bob Dylan on Blood on the Tracks. He was the guitar that opened up Tangled Up in Blue. That was his rhythm part.
Wow.
And our drummer and producer, the brothers, the Ripken brothers, became David Z and Bobby Z from Prince's Revolution. And after we broke up, that's where David and Bobby went. And they were just getting started with Prince. I met him in the studio. He borrowed my guitar. In fact, I had an SG at that point. He borrowed that for one of his tracks on his first record.
Nice.
But, all of those things just combine. I mean, you just go from day to day. You get up in the morning, okay, what can I do today? What's going on? I've always looked for something different. I've never been somebody that could just sit there and do nothing, do the same, put the widget in the box and then move to the next box and put widgets in the box. I mean, I can't do that.
No. Play it by the moment.
Yeah, I'm an improv guy too. I like to make my way up as I go along. And, so I'm always up for an adventure, musical or otherwise.
Nice.
I'm going back to Europe later on this summer. Just got home from about a 2-week trip, and part of it got cut short because of rain and bad weather and flooding. And so I'm heading back over to Austria for a while.
Whoa. Nice. Austria. You just got back from Paris, right?
It's so beautiful over there, and there's so much history. It's just unbelievable. I love it, though. I love traveling, and I can use my high school German, which is kind of weird.
That's going to be kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So back in the early 80s, after that Songwriters event that I went to, I started taking songs at Nashville. And I've been, I was connecting with people and started writing songs here in Nashville 40 years ago. We did pretty well. We got, we won an award. Our band High Noon got a trip to Nashville as part of the Wrangler Country Showdown, and we were the Arizona winner for that. And again, later on, it just kept going back. Pretty soon, George Strait cut one of my songs, and I thought, whee, this is going to be fun. That I just heard that he played College Station, Texas, just this last weekend. He drew 111,000 people to one show.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. One-day paycheck.
He gets a cut of the gate.
But,
yeah.
Oh, he's the one putting the show on, so he's not getting a cut of the gate. He's taking all of it and then paying all the expenses.
Nice.
So, he was one of the first guys to take what they call taking it in-house, meaning he owns the fan club, he owns the production company, he owns the sound, the production, and he rents the stadium, and then he puts on the show, pays the rent, pays the crew, pays everybody, and goes home with, retirement money for most folks from every show.
Right.
Then there's the merchandise. When was the last time you sold 100,000 units of merchandise?
Never.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had a girlfriend in the past, and she used to always kind of wag her finger at me, like kind of lecture me every time I ordered T-shirts. And she goes, you swore you'd never do it again. I said, yeah, but,
You pack that stuff around with you?
Oh, God. I think I finally got broke from sucking eggs, as they say in the country.
Oh, man. Yeah. Taking merch with you and putting it out on the table and have somebody watch it and trying to sell it. And at the end, you're giving it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of like that with records, too, I hate to say. I've got my 17th album out now. And if people weren't streaming it, I don't know if I'd ever do another record, because that's about the only way people get to hear it. My son, my 22-year-old son, was over with his girlfriend last night for Father's Day, and I said, "Have you got a CD player?" And the two of them looked at each other and said, "No, we don't." And I said, "Well, you're going to have to ask Siri to play it, or Alexis to play it, or what's her name, Alexa? I don't know."
Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah. So that's just the way it is these days. But I still make CDs, and this latest album, Welcome to Ocean Country, is my 17th record, Dave.
Wow.
So I'm the poster boy for something foolish.
That's amazing, though. 17, that's a great accomplishment. And you've got a new one out on Radio A1A, and I believe it's on Cruisin' Country Radio as well.
Yes, indeed. Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's on the Cruisin' Country Top 40 that's going to debut.
Oh, man, that's cool.
It's going to debut on July 1st, and I've got 55 or 60 songs in the competition there, so it's going to be really fun to do that.
Oh, man, that'll be fun.
Yeah. And
I'll be just happy to be part of it, because the option is you're not part of it and nobody knows about you.
Exactly.
And I noticed on the Cruisin' Country Radio website that Beth Williams' show is on this network, and she's been playing a couple of my songs on her show, too.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. But more of the, Rocky Mountain Cowboy stuff for me, Rocky Mountain Dreams and, songs like that, All the Wild Horses and things that I'm not all beach, and I'm not all terrestrial. I'm sort of in between. I'm not all rock and roll, and I'm not all corny novelty songs or jazzy songs, I'm about the same as all the music I listen to.
Nice. Very eclectic. Very eclectic.
We got to be ourselves, And I think Willie Nelson is 90 something right now. I know he turned 90.
Right.
And I'm sure he still gets excited when the pencil hits paper and he's got a good one going, It's what we're going to do all of our lives,
On several of my shows, I said, I'm driving down the road and it'll hit me and I have to pull over and either record it on my phone, just, a message to myself or something, or because I'll forget it. But, the hook hits you right there. It's like, oh my God, this is a song.
Yep. This is it. This is the best. And here's the one. It's the best song ever. Oh my God. And then a year later, it's like, I think, did I write a song about something when I pulled off the road? I forget.
Yeah. If I finished it. Yeah.
I was, on my Facebook during the COVID, I did 175 live shows on Facebook during COVID. Live from the Holler and then Twangster Tuesdays. And somebody reposted one of the Live from the Holler shows. And, I would always feature a brand new song that I wrote like that day, just because I'm fearless and I don't mind getting on a skinny branch in front of a bunch of friends. And there was a song called, I think it was called Marrying My Angel or something like that. And I thought, I forgot all about that song. It's from, 2 years ago, and I didn't remember doing it. I'm like, I'm putting that on the next record. That's a good tune.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I had to record myself singing it to have a demo of it. I put my phone on while I was watching my computer screen, Yeah. Thank God for iPhones, huh?
Yeah, well, I have Android, but yeah, for cell phones. What would we do without our cell phones, our computers, our tablets, all that stuff? If the internet went out like right now, we'd be lost.
Paralyzed. Yep.
Except for the older generations, we know what to do, but you can't anymore.
Yeah.
There's hardly any landlines. You can't beat two sticks together. So, but I know that a lot of people, this world would stop turning without the WWW.
Oh, isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I remember when they were talking about that on talk radio or news radio and stuff, late night AM radio in Arizona in the early 80s, and they were talking about the World Wide Web, the information superhighway. I remember thinking, whoa, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And personal computers were coming out, and they had CD-ROM and CD-RAM and all these futuristic terms.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And the big floppy disk, then the little floppy disk, and then it's like when we were growing up, we had 8 tracks, and people were like, "What? An 8-track?"
Mm-hmm.
And then it grew to the cassette, and then the CD, and the.
Oh man.
The one thing they haven't gotten rid of is the vinyl, and I really think that's a really cool thing.
It is. Well, a lot of millennials, or whatever you want to call them, a lot of younger buyers are back into vinyl. But, I did a survey on my Facebook, and my generation, my people, if you will, that my age demographic, they don't want vinyl. They've got vinyl and they got boxes of it and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Especially if you have to move.
It's hip. Oh man. I hate to tell you what I sold of mine back when my mom's, house had to get sold and my stuff was there. I had a gigantic apple crate full of great 12-inch vinyl.
Yeah.
Classic stuff, man. Zeppelin's first album and Led Zeppelin 4 and Jethro Tull, Think of the Brick and, just
the White
the stuff
Album.
that really, oh yeah. And Carla Bonoff records that I just loved and, on and on and on. All that good stuff. Jackson Browne's early records and Joni Mitchell, For the Roses and Blue and American Dream and, and then Court and Spark, which was, I think, my favorite one she ever did.
Right. So how long?
But again, we're.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
How long were you in Arizona?
I lived there from 79 until 2000, so 21 years.
21 years. I was born in Chandler and raised in Levine.
Okay.
And we have an amigo in common, Mr. Reynaldo Evaristo Martin.
That's right. Great guy, tremendous musician.
Oh my gosh! Hey,
pouring.
Reynaldo, shout out, brother.
Hey man, we got to get you back out to Nashville someday.
Yeah.
He did his time out here. I think he's much happier out there on the coast of California. He just loves it. He's doing I'm sure you get the same newsletter I do, but he's got 35 gigs a month. That guy's a working crazy man.
Yeah, and he's got a studio down there, or actually up there from where I am. But yeah, studio. And
yeah, I went to his house one time back when he was at, not the one he's at now, but he had an upstairs room for a studio. And God, he was turning out good stuff. He always had the guitar chops and his harmonies. Oh, Lord, he can sing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, picture Los Lonely Boys crossed with Vince Gill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm glad that we both know him. Yeah, he's super dude. And his sister Lisa was amazing too. And she was beloved here in Nashville. And, you know, we lost her way long ago and way too soon.
She reminded me of Tanya Tucker.
A lot of people said that. Yeah. In fact, she got hired to do a lot of demos because of that.
Yeah. I miss her. I went to high school with her. We were in the same classes and rode the bus together. And I used to go over to then it was Everett. Now it's Reynaldo. But I used to go over to his house and we would put records on and he'd play them and I'd be amazed because he was just back then he was an amazing guitar player. The whole family was musical and I was just like, wow. Yeah, they really were. Yeah, I was proud to know those guys. Yeah. Another guy that you know pretty well, and you were like his band leader for 15 years. This is what I want to dive into. I am so interested in Glen Campbell. You know, I mean, he was just an idol. I watched his shows. I listened to his music, and
oh yeah.
You know, so let's dive into that. How in the world did you end up with Glen Campbell?
Well, he kind of found me. I was doing a show. We had earned an opening spot for Alabama, the Judds and Merle Haggard at the Coliseum, the Madhouse on McDowell, if you remember that place, back in
the
early Phoenix
Veterans
days.
Memorial Coliseum.
That's the one. It's where the Suns played and all that good stuff. And we were on stage. We were up first, and then the Judds, and then Haggard, and then Alabama.
Wow.
And Glenn came by to see Haggard because they were old pals, and I knew nothing about that. And I knew I'd heard he lived in the Valley, meaning Phoenix, but I'd never run across him. One of our friends was doing guitar work for him. But anyway, he showed up to see the Hag, and he got there in time and saw our band. And he came backstage and introduced himself, and very complimentary. And the next night we were doing a brand new golf course in Carefree called Desert Mountain that Jack Nicklaus had designed. First course was having its big gala party, and there was Glenn at the table with Nicklaus. And our band, you know, it's like under a tent, like a corporate kind of thing, but, you know, golf stuff. And Glenn got up, went over to the table and said, "Hey, you want to sit in?" And so we did a cool jam session, about 30 minutes, and we're doing old Bob Wills stuff and faking our way through all of his hits that we could. And about 3 days later, he never talked to me. I mean, he just vanished after the gig, which was his MO. He called me at the house. He said, "Jeff, you're a hard guy to find." I said, "Well, you had a couple chances, but that's okay. What's up?" And he said, "Well, he said, I've retired and I thought I could just play golf for the rest of my life." He said, "I'm losing my mind. I'm about ready to pick in my britches." And yeah, isn't that great? What a country saying. Yeah. So he said, how about you be my new band leader and you can bring your boys and they can be my band. So there we were in early 87, and we did 15 years together. And I'm so grateful that, you know, he took me all over the world. We did 8 tours in the UK. We did 2 month-long tours in Australia. We did 2 long tours in New Zealand. We played the White House twice. We played on the Today Show. You know, we played all the Fox theaters from Detroit and St. Louis. And, oh, man, we had such great times. And everybody came around with their hat in their hand. I mean, all the old timers did, all the new people wanted. And if you can think about how the world responded when he passed away 6 years ago, going on 7 years ago, you know, everybody was just, you know, offering tributes of all kinds. And, you know, the new people, Band Perry did a version of Gentle on My Mind. And, you know, everybody wanted in on the, you know, we love Glen Campbell kind of thing. And I know why, because he was that good. I remember Keith Urban came up. We didn't know who he was. And he was this young kid, but very humble. He says, "No, meet Mr. Campbell, please." You know, that was just, you know, that's like that everywhere. And it's pretty evident when you've got the Beach Boys telling you that they loved Glenn, and you've got, everybody was just so respectful. And even today, Dave, down here in Nashville, where everybody's seen everything, got the T-shirt, gave it to Goodwill, they just go, "You played with Glen Campbell? You had a song with George Strait, and you played with Glen Campbell. I mean, that's 2 for 2 in the cool stuff in town category."
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, what was it like? I mean, when he came up to you or called you on the phone and says, "Let's do this," I mean, you had to just go, "Oh, man alive,"
Oh, well, my mother-in-law answered the phone at the time. She wasn't. And she about dropped the phone on the ground, and she goes, "It's Glen Campbell." She was a sweet little country lady from Norfolk, Virginia, Newport News down there. And she couldn't believe Glen Campbell was on the phone. He came by the apartment that I lived on. You remember where the teepee was in Phoenix at 44th and Indian School?
Yes, sir.
The Mexican restaurant there, 42nd. And I lived in the townhouses across the street at Villa Mañana, and the ladies in the rent office up front, they said, "Some guy came in here and said he was Glen Campbell today." I said, "Was he wearing a big hat and driving a Bentley?" And they said, "Yep." I said, "That was Glen Campbell."
Yeah, he comes in driving a Bentley, says he's Glen Campbell. I mean, I'd be, it looks like him, sounds like him. I think it's him.
Yeah, he just stopped in out of the blue. It was pretty amazing, really, when you think about it. I was blown away. And, he palled around, played a lot of golf with Alice Cooper, and he knew everybody. He did so many records with people. I mean, I do a whole show of info about what kind of guy he was and who he played with and all the things he played on that most people don't even know. So that's a lot of fun. By the way, June 28th in Menominee, Wisconsin at the Mabel Tainter Theater, we're doing Salute to Glen Campbell. And then Saturday, June 29th, the next night, we're in Burnsville, Minnesota at the Ames Theater. And 2 back-to-back nights of Glen Campbell music.
Man, you gotta send me a copy. I want to make a cut and send me one of the, a couple of the songs out of that. I'd love to be able to put them on.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah. None of us, I mean, a few of the guys that are in the show, Tom Benton is one, the original drummer with the Glen Campbell thing that we did together.
Nice.
He's there playing those shows, and Kenny Skaggs and I played together out in Phoenix, and I just played with Gary Berzesi out there. He was the drummer with Glenn when I left, and I brought him in about 91, 92, something like that. And we just all have a great time playing those songs together.
Yeah.
It's just like old times. You walk in, you go, "I know how to do this."
Right. Yeah. And so, do you do a lot of the tribute band for Glenn, or? Well,
tribute band is a term that I don't really, I try to avoid that term.
Right.
I mean, I tell my story of, a decade and a half with one of the greats of all time, and I talk about his life, and I talk about our life, and what he was like on the golf course and in the airplane and catering and, all that good stuff.
Right.
And in the studio, recording and writing with him and doing things like that. And first-person stories about, his stories in the studio and things he told me that I don't think he told anybody. And so I like to give people a special window into Glenn's life and career. And, luckily I'm still here to do it. So that's what I do. I don't dress like him. And one promoter came back to me and said, "People think you don't sound enough like Glen Campbell." I said, "Well, that's because there was only one. And why would I want to try to imitate Glen Campbell? I don't have a John Denver haircut or wear an Elvis suit. I don't do that." And that to me is tribute band, but I am paying tribute to a great man.
Right.
So somewhere in between those things is what I do.
So not really. I when I said tribute band, didn't really mean that. I know that you do like the Glen Campbell experience, and you sound like Jeff Dayton.
That I can't shake.
Yeah, no, and then I when I play songs and I'm in a cover band, I do not want to be a tribute, a true cover. because I sing like me. You know, I don't sing like anybody else, and I want my band to be able to. I like to go around the band and let everybody have their little licks in. You know, so yeah, more of a concert band.
And, you know, being with Glen all those years and watching him pick up other people's songs, because he was not, like, hard and fast about, I only do songs that I did on records. I mean, if he heard a good song, he did it. And he was the same way all through his career. I mean, he came up in the club, so when a great song came along, they did it in the club. And Glen was the same way doing records. If there was a good song out there, like by the time I get to Phoenix, it was not his original release. Pat Boone put it out first, and then Johnny Rivers.
Right.
And the same with Galveston came out first on Down Ho, and Rhinestone Cowboy was out as, you know, Larry Weiss, the guy who wrote it, put it out first. And John Hartford had his own record, A Gentle on My Mind. So Glen was not averse to covering a great song, because that was his gig in the studio, was making great songs. And so, great song, that was fine with him. We did Conway. We did, Only Make Believe. We did, Roy Orbison, Crying. Oh my God, you think that he wrote it. It was that good. And, so I learned from that was the long preface to what I was going to say, is that, you know, if you're going to sing a song, make it your own. And, don't try to do it. Although Glen could do anybody just like those artists, like Hank Sr. and Dean Martin. It didn't matter who it was, man. He was a chameleon. But when I do a Chris Stapleton song or an Eric Church song or, you know, George Strait song, I just do it my way. You know, I do it. I'm not locked into, well, that's not exactly like the record. Well, all right, sue me, you know, or put some money in the tip jar. I mean, I hope you like it, because, you know, that way it's me and I'm just being myself.
Exactly.
And I think that's just like, you know, Dave, you know, when you do a song right, it's your gift, you know.
I mean, I've got 23 songs written. I have one on the radio, on Radio A1A.
All right.
But yeah, and it almost made the top 10. Yay.
Hey, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, you know, I put it out there. I thought, oh, well, Harry, give it a shot. And it got up there. And I was like, you know what? That's really cool.
Oh, man.
If it doesn't sell
Harry's
one
good
copy,
dude, man.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not in it for the money. If I was, I'd be broke.
Yeah, well, then try being me with, you know, 170. I do more than 10 songs a record, so like 250 songs out officially, plus the other hundreds and hundreds that I've written. And, you know, what good? You've got to love what you're doing to keep doing this.
Well, yeah, but I had the wonderful pleasure to see you perform live. On the radio and in person. I was watching you. I mixed sound for you, and I was just like, "Wow, you're it, man. You're really, really good. Your guitar playing is awesome." And you know,
oh, thanks.
Yeah,
you know, I've stayed in touch with you and a lot of the people that I've met in Key West, and I'll be there again this year for the meeting. Well, they call it Trop Rock and Duval, and then Meeting in the Minds has moved on up to Gulf Shores, and I was there last year, and I'll be there again this year. Yeah. On the Gulf Coast there at Orange Beach and Gulf Shores, Alabama. But you know, a lot of the people that I've met, we enjoy seeing each other, and that's where I met Dave Matchett, that amazing harmonica player that you heard me.
Oh, well, yeah, and he plays with a lot of people.
Yep, yeah, and Dave and I have been doing a ton of gigs together. I mean, he's for hire, so he'll go out and do all kinds of stuff, but he turned me on to this guy that he used to work with named Hugo Duarte, and he did, you know, we're starting to cover some of Hugo's stuff when Dave and I are together and playing the Parrot Head clubs around the country. And man, it's so much fun. This guy, I'm bringing him to Minnesota at the end of August to do a couple of big things at the Minnesota State Fair. And we're going to be on another podcast. I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, but Garage Logic is one of the top 100 podcasts in the world. And Joe Souchere is the host of that, and they're number one in one of the Caribbean islands. And so I guess we're going to make a run down the Caribbean and be number one. But Dave is on all that stuff with me, and he's been on 3 of my records. He's done the artwork for 3 straight records. He's a great dude, and I know you know him.
Yes, oh yeah, he's he plays with Dave Sines and and Beth Travers, who, by the way,
Yep.
congratulations to Beth with her #1 song.
Way to go, Beth. She's a sweetheart, man. I just adore her. She's really, really a great gal. Yeah, and he plays with Jimmy Parrish, and he plays with a lot of other people. People love him, and he plays with John Patty quite a bit when they do shows together. You know, John, the steel pan guy.
Right.
And so, yeah, Dave and I'll be down in Key West for the whole week, the end of October into November.
Nice.
And then I'm heading over to the Frank Brown Songwriters in Orange Beach, Pensacola, the Perdido Key there.
Right.
For the next week. It's a busy time of year, which I just love, man. I love it.
Yeah, I've got a project I'm trying to put together down here where I live in Ajijic, Lake Chapala. I want to do next year a singer-songwriter, original country singer-songwriter festival one day. And it's not, I don't want it to be a small venue. I want it to be big. I'm trying to get Corona Beer to sponsor.
Oh, yeah. Don't aim low.
Yeah. And make it a big deal. So I may be throwing a line at you and going, "Hey, Jeff, all expenses paid, plus a really good chunk of change for doing a show."
Sounds good to me. I'd love to see the difference that 45 years made on Word of My Earth.
Yeah. So you've recorded 250 songs. That's amazing.
Well, under my name. I've had a bunch recorded by other people too, and then a bunch of songs that are demoed but have never been released. And, songs I've written with other people who were released, there's a bunch of those, Daisy Mallory and Sarah Darling and Ariel Aspen and Kira Moran and in fact, Ronaldo Martin did one of my songs years and years ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just spread all over the place. One-offs in Texas and Arizona and Minnesota and New York. There's a guy there, Kyle Bergalt, and he released my song "Absafrican Lutely" was his lead-off single from his first record.
Nice.
And he's up in the Albany, New York area. Great guy.
So if you had to choose, and I've had people ask me, "Who's your favorite artist?" I can't. But out of the 250 that you have under your name, do you have a favorite?
Favorite song? No possible way. It's like looking out at your herd and saying, which horse is your favorite? Well, the one that comes when I call him would be you, Star.
Yeah.
But, no, my favorite songs are the ones that are just being born this week. And there are a few people say to me, "Oh man," like I had a Zoom interview with a lady that's putting me on a big show with Brandy Carlisle in the fall in Minnesota. And she said, "I think my favorite song of yours that I've heard is Calling in the Ocean." She said, "It just speaks to me." And I was like, wow, there's one I haven't thought about. And that's about 4 or 5 albums ago.
Right.
So, yeah, I do. I mean, if you put yourself in the song and you don't love the song, then, maybe there was something you could have done differently. And I try not to put it out as that I don't feel great about. And if it's cringy, even up to the point of adding it to the record or not, I won't add it.
Yeah, just to be on it,
just
a filler song.
Yeah. I try to avoid cotton candy. I try to provide substance. And no matter what format I'm writing in, whether it be, I'm a songwriter first, and I love lyrical maturity. So I've told that to, a few people like the Coral Reefers guys, and when I was in Key West with them a couple of years ago, and I said, bring some lyric maturity to a baby format.
I like that. Lyric maturity. That's cool.
Yeah, I like telling a good story. A couple examples of that are this song called Circling the Moon on the Tropical Troubadour album, and another one on that record called Hemingway's Cats. Totally not what you'd expect, and I bet anybody $10 that they haven't got a song about Hemingway's Cats until they hear this interview, and then there'll be 20. But it was really fun to write, and learn a little bit about Hemingway and kind of put the whole story together, like authors do. Jimmy Buffett really turned me on to a whole kind of a new outlook on how to write songs, because he was a reader and he read literature and he read, and then he had the courage to put out songs that were nothing like Changes in Latitude.
Right.
He didn't just do another, Fins to the Left. What he did was he looked for great material, and anybody that has the courage to put out a song called The Death of an Unpopular Poet
exactly.
is my man.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, his last record, my favorite song, Will Kimbrough had 4 songs on the record. He wrote a song called Like My Dog, and it's such a cute song. But he's recorded some amazing songs by other people, by Jesse Winchester, by Thomas Van Zandt, Steve Goodman, John Prine songs, Guy Clark songs. He's not opposed to recording a good song if it's a good song.
No, not at all.
I love that about him. And
Yeah.
Jerry Jeff, of course, was a huge influence on him. Jerry Jeff was the one that took him to Key West for the first time.
Jerry Jeff Walker.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
He had a car shop somewhere in Florida, and he had Jamie working on a car, and it turned out to be Jerry Jeff's car. From what I understand, that once he got it fixed, they got in it and went down to Key West.
Right. Nice. I love Key West. I like the Keys.
Yeah.
They just didn't like, I didn't like the humidity, and I'm a desert rat, born and raised in Phoenix. And,
Bone dry. And then there's the dry season.
Then there's the monsoons. And,
Well, the monsoons, people make a big deal about it, but it's just like 2-3 months. It looks like it's going to be a nice cooling rain, and it just spits 3 drops of heavy dust, and then it gets hotter. It doesn't change a thing.
Get your car dirty, and it spits on it, and you get mud.
Oh, man. How about it? Yeah, and there's nothing you could do. And then you get the big dust storm that comes through. That's been crazy. Now they call it a haboob. We just called it a dust storm.
I remember them rolling over the mountains. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
We were in
South
South
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Quite a sight, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, people, when I tell them, they're like, what? I said, you just look to the mountains and see it rolling over like waves crashing on the beach, and here comes the wind and the dust and a little bit of rain afterwards.
Yeah.
And
barely any, though, and not enough to cool it off.
No, it was hot.
Yeah. A lot of the rain is what they call virga, the rain that comes partway down and then evaporates before it hits the ground.
That's because it's 150 degrees.
Probably is up there too. But, the dust storms always came from the west, the big ones.
Yeah, they did.
And so we know where to look. And if that was coming, man, it was time to batten down the dog and get him inside. It was going to be one of those. But, yeah, those are great times. And Arizona did a lot for me. I got into Bob Wills and Texas Playboy music and, Rex Allen and all the singing cowboys and Themes of the West. And, again, all good influences.
That was one of my questions. Was who was your biggest influence? And you've named about 12 of them.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's more, I'm sure. You're very eclectic. What I like about you, Jeff, is you're eclectic. You're not just stuck in one genre, and you play all through the genres, and that's really a great musician does that. So many bands.
Oh, man, thank you so much. I didn't expect to hear that, but thank you, dude.
Well, I don't BS anybody, and I'm not starstruck ever. I think musicians are musicians no matter who you are. You're still a person. And, we happen to have somebody in common that we know, but you still, when we were talking in Key West, you're a great guy, it's not bull,
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's, I think of the top, if I were to name 10, and I'll probably only get to 10 of them and not the top 10, Roger Miller, without a doubt. Really formative. And I could go into the techniques another time, songwriting stuff, but Roger just had that gift of being fresh and making a line really different. Sitting around drinking, me and the guys, 6 rounds bought, and I bought 5. I mean, that kind of thing still nails me. I call that flipping a word back on itself.
Right.
And, there's a lot of that in my songs if you look for it. And it's just because it feels good to me. I think John Prine was and is a great big influence on me. I think Buffett's deep cuts are a big influence on me. Not the stuff that everybody eats, cheeseburgers and all that, but the other stuff.
No, that's all radio stuff that everybody gets to hear. But when you dig deeper into that album and some of the heartfelt stuff that people write, and we don't choose what song's going to be the hit song. That's the people. No. And it could be something that you thought, well, this is, I really like this song, but it's probably not my best song, and it becomes the number 1 hit, so you never know.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. Hey, let it happen, and then we'll decide.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. A big column of guys from Texas, Jerry Jeff and Guy Clark and those guys. And these days, I'm always looking for fresh influences, and I think Cody Johnson's recording some of the best music out there. His song, The Painter, is just the first time it came out, I was like, oh yeah, and Miranda Lambert's song, The House That Built Me, which was a Alan Chamberlain song. And, Chris Stapleton he's killing it as a writer, and same with Jason Isbell. I love his stuff, and Eric Church and his stuff. I'd say thank God for these guys. They're putting the hair back on the legs of country music.
Right.
I think everybody was at the waxing salon for a while there. I'm talking stylistically, not personally.
Yeah.
And I love hearing the grit and the honesty and the pure songwriting talent, if you will. Just tell the story, put some blood on the page, and oh well.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've got one new song out. Why don't you tell me real quick? We got a minute or so about your new song.
Which one would that be? Because I've lost track.
What is it?
Driftwood?
Yes, that's it.
Well, Driftwood is a fave. It's funny because I just wrote it. I had a guitar groove and I was messing with it, and out popped this song, and it with the name Driftwood, it kind of fits into the tropical thing a little bit. But I'm surprised that people are coming back. I play them a few songs off the new record. When I get to that one, they go, "Wow, that's really different." I really like that one. In fact, last time my son Brenner and his girlfriend Kylie were here, and I mentioned, and he wanted me to show Kylie, that I could play guitar, which I don't mind doing for my kids. And I started off on that song, and I got done, and both of them said, "That is really good." And he goes, "Dad, that's the best song you've ever written."
Nice.
I'm like, wow. So, sometimes you just finish them and you put them out there, and then people start telling you that it was really worth more than you thought it was. So it's on the new record.
Exactly. Well, you know what? We have sat here and talked for an hour, and I don't think I've touched the bottom of Jeff Dayton. I would like you to come back on. Let's put some of your music on it and discuss it. How's that?
I'd be thrilled to do that. You just say the word there, Dave.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on and being with us today.
Oh.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. And you know what? I want to thank you because it's really an honor to be asked, and that's not lost on me. It really means something. So for everybody listening to this great podcast and the music that's coming out of here, wish you well. Throw some love on somebody, make them all cringy. Tell them you love them, and it might really change the world.
All right, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, that was Jeff Dayton. And like I said, we barely touched his life. And that's when I really want to come back to and really dive into a lot of his music. He's got 250 songs out there. So for me, this is Dave Roush with the Dave Roush Show, coming to you from the beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And I will see you next Monday. So for now, thank you and have a great night.